Apparently, dozens of churches across Europe are getting burned down. This is another church reported yet again in Ireland being burned down. This is another church in Germany set ablaze. And this right here is a Muslim immigrant tearing down a Christian cross from a church in the UK. This is pure hatred for Christianity. This person wrote yesterday on X, thousands of churches are being burned down all over Europe, and now it's beginning in Ireland. Who's setting those churches on fire exactly? Now, why not anything else? Why not the mosques? Why only the churches, which are a symbol of Christianity? Somebody wrote, while Christian churches burn across Europe, there is this. It's a brand new mosque, Europe's largest mosque unveiled in Russia's Chechnya. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of the Gospel of Christ. I'm your host, John Henry. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. In this video, I want to ask you one simple question. What happens when you invade a country, or you open the borders of a country or a continent for that matter, and you fill it with people that do not hold the same values as you do? Well, you would get coordinated attacks by those who don't stand for the same values that you stand for and don't value the things that you believe in. What the Western world and Western societies, for that matter, believe stem from a biblical worldview. Apparently, over the past 4 or 5 years, churches in Europe are getting burned down. For example, this is a post from 2020 of a fire of a 13th century church in Plasencia, Spain. The Church of St. Martin spontaneously broke out in fire. Why? We don't know. This is another church posted yesterday. The 1854 Immaculate Conception Church in Saint Omer was set ablaze last night in France. This is another church reported yet again in Ireland being burned down. This was earlier this year in January. St. Peter and St. Paul churches gone into flames. This is another church in Germany set ablaze. This person wrote yesterday on X, thousands of churches are being burned down all over Europe, and now it's beginning in Ireland. And this is a parish, and as you can see, dozens of firefighters are trying to put the fire out. A huge fire broke out in the Green Island Church in Ireland yesterday. It is thought to be arson. Yesterday was the 70th anniversary of the church's founding. As you guys can see, there are multiple reports around Europe of churches getting burned down due to arson. This is another report saying this is the latest church to have been set on fire in recent years in France, Europe, all over the West. So what you're looking at is not an isolated incident, it's a coordinated attack. Let's think about who's setting those churches on fire exactly. Now, why not anything else? Why not the mosques? Why only the churches, which are a symbol of Christianity? I understand that those churches, a lot of them, if not all of them, are Catholic churches. But whoever's organizing, orchestrating, and coordinating those attacks don't know that those churches, they're not really real churches, but they are a symbol of Christianity. And Christianity must come down. Now, this person says on this map, we have to wake up. I'm not going to say that word. The Islamic invaders are not only attacking religious sites across Europe, it's also silently happening closer to home. Conspiracy theories do not burn down churches. It looks like this map shows churches across the US and Canada that have burned down. I'm not really sure, but let's take a closer look again here. That's the same church that we saw earlier in Germany. And it's also interesting that the mainstream media is not reporting on this at all. I wonder why. Somebody says the legacy media will continue to ignore this. Could you imagine if other places of worship other than Christian churches were spontaneously combusting in volume across Europe? What the reaction would be? Let's see what this gentleman has to say here.
Breaking news, a massive church in France just mysteriously caught fire, known as the Church of Immaculate Conception in Saint-Omer, which was built in 1854. 90 firefighters have been mobilized. The roof and the bell tower could not withstand the flames and have collapsed. At the exact same time in Northern Ireland, Green Island Church just celebrated its 70-year anniversary and has burst into flames, with police saying that it's arson. Wild.
There's no question about it. This is a coordinated attack. Somebody else wrote, churches keep burning down in France. Last night, the Church of the Immaculate Conception in Saint Omer was completely destroyed. 40 churches have burned since January 2023. 40 churches. This is absolutely crazy, and I don't know why nobody's talking about this. All those churches getting burned down. Looks like, it's being done strategically. This is back in 2019. Somebody would, while Christian churches burn across Europe, there is this. This looks like it's a brand new mosque. Europe's largest mosque unveiled in Russia's Chechnya. Well, let's take a look at this. Wow. It's a new mosque. It's Europe's largest mosque that can hold how many people? I think I saw 30,000. Let's see. The Pride of Muslims Mosque. Yeah, we'll be able to hold up to 30,000 people. This will be able to hold up to 30,000 people. While churches are being burned down, I don't know if this was built or was planned to be built. It will be the largest mosque in Europe, able to hold up 30,000 people. Meanwhile, churches across Europe are getting burned down. Now, I don't get too bogged down whether or not it's a Catholic church or Presbyterian church. The fact of the matter is that people see those churches to one degree or another as a symbol of Christianity, and Christianity is a problem. And the way that you deal with it is by setting its churches ablaze. Let's take a listen to this.
Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Maya Tusi and this is your latest cultural update. The war against the Western culture, Christian values and of course unity. Of course, there's going to be a lot of discussions over the next few years on what to do when it comes to the Western civilization, especially Christian values in Western Europe and in North America, especially. In this video, we're going to give you guys the latest updates on what's been going on with mystery fires across churches in especially western parts of the European continent, the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, of course, France, and many other places. It's becoming a little bit sad because when these sort of things started over the last few years, there were a lot of mystery around it. The authorities were publicly speaking a little bit ominous about it, but now we have more updates. Unfortunately, over the last couple of days, we've heard another church that's been burned down. That's the Green Island Church in Northern Ireland. And again, one of the main issues that we currently have, both in the Republic of Ireland and in Northern Ireland, there's been a lot of issues when it comes to multiculturalism. There's been a lot of issues in terms of just general rate of crime going up. There is no sense of community in most urban areas. Now, of course, those who believe in the Christian community and their own local spirit, they still go to church, they still defend it, but the authorities, the establishments, don't seem to be very much into it these days. The church, the Green Island Church, of course, they've come out, the leaders, to say that we are heartbroken, but also so thankful to the fire crews, to the local community, to our neighbors who sounded the alarm, and so thankful that no one was hurt. Now, in this video, we're also going to give you guys a number of other examples, because we can actually talk about this for about 2 hours if we go, probably longer, if we point out every example that we've had when it comes to churches in Europe being targeted for various reasons, arson being one of the main ones. For example, let's go to France. And St. Omer's church, that was another one that was burnt down. Now, we will talk about France specifically because there is a map that I will show you again in case you haven't seen it. But the prosecutor's office said that the suspect had been taken into custody. The man, who was born in 1985, has been known to the authorities for similar acts in the past. So this was not an accident. This was targeted on purpose. They've also obviously come out to say we will investigate further, but nothing actually was done about it long term. Thanks to the efforts of 120 firefighters, the fire had been contained, according to the fact. Actually, most of these buildings, even when you look at Paris, they were half burned, and that still damages the identity of the whole, the character of the building and the history behind it. Now, more than 50 residents living nearby were also told to leave, as obviously just to be cautious in general, according to the officials. That was another one. Dronay, there's another church that was also burned down almost completely at this point. This high-timbered church of the 16th century with a large double-sided roof, whose main campaign of construction dates from the first half of the 16th century started, was classified as a historical monument since the 21st of December 1982. That was another one again, they just came out to contain it when it comes to the media reporting. Nantes, again, another part of France, the Gothic cathedrals, a 17th century organ which had survived the French Revolution and the Second World War, was destroyed in the 2020 blaze along with their priceless artifacts. So we've had all these, but the person who actually was responsible was caught. Was Emmanuel Abayesenga, a 42-year-old Rwandan, also faced legal action for a separate incident in which he allegedly killed a priest in Western France in 2021. As I said, we can keep going and going and going, or I can just show you this map in case you haven't seen this. These are all the churches primarily in France or linked to France. Again, these sort of maps will also exist when it comes to other countries as well. There is definitely a crisis when it comes to the Republic in France. These are all the churches that have either been burned because of arson or just targeted. Various things have happened to and at these churches.
I mean, this is insane. Look at the map he's showing on the screen. This is like, I don't know. This is like dozens of churches that have either been, as I said, subject to arson or burned down, or some kind of crazy stuff happened to those churches. Now, if it's one church, you could say, well, whatever, it's just one church that, got burned down, or, some crazy person attacked. But when you have that many churches, this is just in France alone. We're just talking about one country in Europe, in France alone. When you have those many churches that have been the subject of some kind of an attack or arson or whatever, this is crazy.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of urgency from the establishments. This is the whole problem, by the way, because one thing is about discussing the mystery around these churches being targeted, right? Because the media is not telling you, because the political establishment don't want to address it. So it's still a bit of a mystery. There's a lot of isolated incidents, as they say. That's one thing to talk about. We could discuss that all day long. The other thing we can talk about is, why is it any sort of building, for example, if this were McDonald's, different branches, different restaurant branches of McDonald's being targeted over the last few years, different places, everybody would be like, ooh, what's going on here, right? People would be curious across society. If they were mosques, there would be outrage. The political establishment would launch an investigation. There would be media coverage 24/7. They would come out across our Western European governments, the liberal governments in Europe, to say this is the rise of Islamophobia. But when it's the other way around, not only they don't even talk about it in terms of media reporting, really, unless it's there's not much going on in the news, or it's such a big event. For example, when it happened in Paris, right? They have to cover it. But when it comes to, for example, a church in Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland or somewhere in Belgium, they won't really mention it. For example, the BBC News' website might discuss it. They will have a page, small page, probably 4 paragraphs, and they will move on from it. So one issue is that there's no media coverage. The other is that why is there nobody, and I'm talking about most of the so-called conservative-leaning politicians are coming out to say anything. Marine Le Pen has been talking about this for a long time now. But I'm talking about all the others. In the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Ireland, in the UK. The leading figures of these political parties, the so-called centre-right parties, conservative-leaning parties, where are they? They might say something, yeah. They might come out to say, another incident, another church has gone down. Nobody's been seeking any sort of investigation. And I'm not just looking for an investigation, by the way.
Yeah, it's interesting what he said, because nobody is really talking about this. I found out about it literally yesterday. that churches are getting burned down across Europe. And as I said at the very outset of the video, when you open your borders, you just open your country and your continent for everybody to come in, and those people that are coming in, they don't necessarily see eye to eye with what you believe in. They don't necessarily see eye to eye with your Christian values. As a matter of fact, your values are hated. Right? So whatever represent a symbol of that value will be destroyed, will be burned down. In the next stage, it may happen maybe in 20, 30 years. We know it will happen. It's that the very people who represent that faith, those values will be put at the stake. Figure of speech here. Right? So churches are being burned across Europe. Nobody's talking about it. I don't know why. And I think we need to talk about it. It'll not stay in Europe alone. It'll cross over. And I think it may have already started to happen here in America. And the map it was showing about France, we talked about earlier, I checked this map online, and you know what? It was reported as misinformation. I think I'm going to try and see if I could find it. The map was reported and fact-checked as misinformation. When people know exactly what's going on. They know that those churches are being targeted, and they are targeted by not some random person. It's people that have been repeat offenders. And this right here is a Muslim immigrant tearing down a Christian cross from a church in the UK. This is pure hatred for Christianity. Let's take a look at it. This is unbelievable. Like, look at him. He's dedicated to take down the cross off of the church. Why? Because they hate Christianity. And this is not news, folks. The stuff like this, has been happening around Europe, and people are now noticing. They are looking at the maps. They are looking at what's happening across Germany, the UK, Ireland, France, and so on and so forth. They see that there's a coordinated attack against Christian churches. This is in Europe, and America may very well be next. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Is this a conspiracy theory, or is there something fishy going on here? And why is the media not talking about it? With love in Christ, John Henry, the Gospel of Christ, I will see you guys in the next one.